For the final few minutes before the coffee break, we will have now a short discussion among these great experts, and we'll try to figure out some of my questions I wrote and also some of your questions. So in case you have questions, we would like to ask you to ask them on Twitter using the hashtag SRconf17. So please ask questions and we'll take them here. But now let's go to the round. We have heard a lot of different insights from European member countries, from OECD and also from European Commission. So my first question goes to Tony. What do you think? Is this the right track to go? And what is your impression from this session?
Well, I think are the ideas, are they far stretching enough? We're talking about, this was my notes, we're talking about a smart government. Yeah. Of course we want to have a smart government, but isn't it much more important to create smart citizens and no governments? Technology can solve a lot of questions, but the questions we have to ask ourselves, are we still asking the right questions? We're talking about data-driven society. I don't want a data-driven society. I want a human-driven society and a data-enabled society. It's all about mindset and what kind of questions you are asking. And those are a few of the key highlights I was thinking about when I heard this presentation. But that also was very good, but that's what I want to add to this discussion.
Okay, so I like your role as a devil's advocate, so pointing out the maybe misleading terminology we have used often in our ICT environments. But we have heard now a lot of different examples. For example, Barbara, you told us about the sharing of data. And I was wondering, we have now here the framework for IT solutions. Where do you see similarities and connections between these two types of digital goods? Please take a microphone over there. Yeah. Just talk.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Well, there are definitely a lot of similarities, especially when it comes to, it's striking when it comes to the challenges, right? We keep hearing about barriers in terms of skills, in terms of legal barriers, in terms of organizational cultures, in terms of lack of sufficient political support and leadership for pushing things ahead. So I think there are many similarities. The two things are connected. You know, we talk now more and more about data, which is embedded in, or which is produced through the use of technology. So I think there are similarities in the way we should think about the potential for reusing data solutions, but I would also say processes, I would also say services. So I think the biggest, you know, to follow up on what Tony is saying, I think it's important to ask ourselves the right questions also to answer your question. So more and more, I don't think we can in a silo way talk about solutions, services, data. I think that's the shift that needs to happen. I think governments will still remain in existence, at least until when you and I will remain in life. Maybe in the future they will disappear, but societies will remain. And I think, you know, to serve societies, we need to ask these questions in a different way. So yes, similarities, but I think I need to think of those as similar and not like as isolated.
So basically what you're saying is that we have data, we have software, but there's also sometimes maybe different types of systems and processes.
But you also have people. Yeah. Right? So we talk, I mean, I think a great example, we've been working with Spain a lot. And, you know, when facing the financial crisis a few years ago, and we were working with the new established CIO office, the first question was, how can we, in a situation in which we can't hire new people, how can we share the great experts, IT experts, digital people across the administration to set up this new governance model? So I really think that it's about this shifting in the mindset, like he was saying, right?
So it's also about knowledge and sharing
exactly.
Expertise.
It's about knowledge, expertise. You know, we talk about good practices, right? But these good practices also exist within administrations, also exist within different institutions, levels of government, local offices, municipalities, which have the last arm going to the citizens. So, you know, how can we also put knowledge in the bulk of things that need to be shared?
Thank you. So, Miguel and Jaime, you presented from your countries the overall strategies and activities, what you're doing. Can you provide us some very simple examples, like where did Spain, where did Portugal share some services, and just to give us a more tangible example on this?
Well, as I have mentioned, the legal framework, which is essential or relevant for us, identifies the building blocks of the value chain to provide the government services. For instance, electronic identification, electronic signature, official input-output registries, electronic notifications, electronic document files, archiving, and then the portfolio or the catalog of services provides solutions for those building blocks. Also for other things like e-invoicing and other main functions. And then those services are available to be shared by public administrations. I have mentioned the intermediation platform, the e-invoicing services. We have a solution for electronic identification which offers alternatives, which is Clave, and we are working by means of a theft project to integrate this service with the IDAS node. Other examples would be in relation to the management of electronic documents and electronic files and archiving. And then by means of arrangements or agreements, other administrations can use them, and we offer choices. They can use them, calling them by web services if they have their own solutions. They can reuse the service as in the cloud, or if they want, in many cases, they can deploy the software or the application to reuse the solution in product mode. Okay. But we have seen the shift to turn the point of view from the reuse of software to the reuse of services, which is something which is giving us the results, as you can see in Spain, and thanks to Barbara and the OECD and their cooperation, they have noticed the results.
Yeah, so the move from software rather to services, what do you say?
I just wanted to try to speak. Okay, I just wanted to support this, that this shift has also been recognized in the sharing and reuse framework, which actually says that public administration should also provide software solutions as a service as well, exactly because there's a gap between the different public administrations in their capabilities, and it's just a more efficient way of providing and modernizing public services.
That's why I mentioned the need to deploy models that facilitate reuse and sharing, which is something which is included in the framework for reuse and sharing.
Great, thank you. So from Scandinavia, we have heard that you have...
No, I'd like to...
Oh, sorry.
No, if it is possible. Okay.
Please, please,
no,
go ahead.
2 minutes. No, I'd like to stress that in what is ESPAP agenda, we are focused on shared service and public procurement. And of course, this is an agenda that involves very strong this idea of network, of involvement, of integration. So with this example that we take today, RSPTIC, that is a network that was created for implementing the strategy that is decided by CITIC and by government in some areas. In fact, we developed very strongly this idea of network. It's very essential because if we don't know which are the frontiers between the involvement of each ministry and all the government as a whole, everything will be more complicated. And the shared service agency agenda is an agenda of sharing, of commitment. So you must evaluating day by day what is the role of each part of the whole. And this experience has been very interesting because within 2 years there was a very interesting commitment of ideas, of solutions, and the projects I presented were the result of this sharing agenda.
Can you provide just an example, like where like the government?
No, I think the best example is, for instance, the communications central traffic. It's something that was trying to be created for a long time. It's a very difficult project because it involves technical arrangements that are very, very complicated. And because of this capacity of involving the technical people that were engaged in the process, it was possible, after some months of technical discussion, to create something that is very important in terms of savings, because, of course, you will spend more less in terms of the budget, but also in terms of trying to innovate the solution. So this is the good example of a project that was created from the bottom to up, involving all the stakeholders, and this is what we are speaking about sharing and reusing. This is a good example of these two words in a very technical term.
Thank you. So for the Nordic Innovation Organization, you mentioned smart government, and well, assuming that there are still people in the government, what do you actually have achieved like during this program? Where do you have like this tangible success stories you could tell?
Well, this program is, we had Smart Government 1.0 running last year, and that was really just a very small project to see if there was any interest from the Nordic countries to take part in a larger and more ambitious project. The larger project started up in March, so to be honest, not that much yet. But what we are looking at is a basis for decision, how to go for if we would implement this within the Nordic countries. What should we use from the different countries, and how can we do this, and how can we adapt this concept to actually apply to all the different settings in the Nordics.
And do you think the sharing and reuse framework presented today, could this also support these activities?
We just definitely, I think, I mean, I will have to take a look at this, of course.
You haven't read it yet.
So sorry. But yeah, I think that's what smart government is about, taking what is good in the different Nordic countries and sharing that and reuse it in the other countries, so we don't have to make the same mistakes, and we can learn from each other.
Great, so that's, I think, a very nice closing sentence, like learning from each other and don't make the same mistakes again. I think it was a very interesting and insightful discussion and presentation, so thank you very much again for also showing what is going on and for your insight worldwide. And so let's take a break now for the coffee and meet again in half an hour.